The flora of Italy was traditionally estimated to comprise about 5,500 vascular plant species. However, as of 2004, 6,759 species are recorded in the databank of Italian vascular flora. Geobotanically, the Italian flora is shared between the circumboreal region and Mediterranean region. According to the index compiled by the Italian Ministry for the Environment in 2001, 274 vascular plant species are protected. Geography. Italy consists of a 1,000 km long peninsula extending out into the central Mediterranean, together with a number of islands to the south and west. The Apennines run north-south through the peninsula, connecting the Alps in the north to Etna and the Peloritani Mountains in Sicily in the south. The geology is diverse. Northern Italy is dominated by the Alps, an extensive valley of the Po River which is extensively agricultural and industrialized. Central Italy includes the regions of Tuscany, Umbria, Marche and Lazio. It is dominated by the Apennines, from which a few major rivers flow. There are few natural plains. A process of land reclamation has replaced the coastal swamps and marshes with agricultural land. Southern Italy includes the regions of Abruzzo, Molise, Apulia, Basilicata and Campania. Agriculture and industry are less developed. The main islands are Sicily, Sardinia and the Aeolian Islands. Each region has a distinct flora. Ecoregions. An ecoregion is an ecologically and geographically defined area with characteristic natural communities and species. Different ecoregions are distinguished by different vegetation features. In Italy, Carlo Blasi et al. Identify and map 2 divisions, 13 provinces, 33 sections and approximately 80 subsections. Each unit has an alphanumeric code that indicates its hierarchical level and a full name that indicates its geographic location and main diagnostic factor. The temperate division includes the Alps, the Po Plain, and most of the Apennines. It accounts for 64% of Italy. This area is characterized by almost absent summer aridity and by marked differences between summer and winter temperatures. The natural vegetation mainly consists of forests, with broad-leaved deciduous plants. The Mediterranean division includes the southern Apennines, the Tyrrhenian and Ionian coasts, the southern Adriatic coast and the islands. It accounts almost 36% of the Italian territory. This area is characterized by summer aridity, with precipitations concentrated in autumn and winter. The natural vegetation mainly consists of mixed woods of evergreen and deciduous species, shrublands and Mediterranean maquis. The floral composition. The native vegetation of Italy reflects the diversity of the physical environment. The differences in geology. The differences of altitude above sea level, and the diversity of the climate between the continental and the peninsular Italy, that give rise to various phytoclimatic areas. The peninsula and islands are dominated by the characteristics of the Mediterranean climate, with mild and rainy winters and very warm and dry summers. On the contrary, in the northern of Italy you have lower temperatures in winter and a more uniform distribution of rainfall during the summertime. The species of plants present in Italy belong to the flora of the continental Europe or to the Mediterranean flora. We can distinguish in some cases western species and eastern species. The last ice age, the WURM glaciation, in the Alps ended about 12,000 years ago, and you can still recognize its influence on vegetation, in particular by means of the glacial relics. A well-known example is the Etna birch, driven in Sicily at a time when the climate was much colder. Broadly, there are 3 different vegetational zones of forests or bushes in Italy. 1. Evergreen vegetation. Maquis shrubland with densely growing plants and shrubs that always have leaves on. This flora is typical of the dry Mediterranean climate, especially along the coast and in the islands. The most common plants are olives, agrumes, maritime pines, cork oaks, holm oak, caribou, myrtles, strawberry tree, sage, junipers. 2. Broad-leaved vegetation. It is typical of the mountain region with a humid climate. Temperate. The most common plants are Castanea sativa, Fagus sylvatica, the relics Pinus mugo and Pinus nigra var, Italica, Sorbus camemes bilus, Arctostaphylos uvarc, and Vaccinium viticidia. There are also a high number of endemic species increasing at higher elevations. Alpine species include Gentiana nivalis, Androsace alpina, Polygolarcum ebuxus, Saxifraga oppositifolia and Carlina acaulis. 3. Coniferous vegetation. It is an evergreen vegetation typical of the Alps and of a few high Apennines areas. Temperate. The most common plants present in this phytoclimatic area are Piscia abies, Abies alba, Larix decidua, Pinus sylvestris, Pinus nigra, Pinus cembra and Pinus mugo. In the Po Basin you can find mixed forests that include mixed deciduous oak, hornbeam forest and riparian forest, as well as floodplain vegetation of the Po Basin. There are also plant associations almost treeless, grasslands, pastures, deserts. In the mountains, gradually, the forest turns in mountain pastures, scattered in various shrubs and dotted with small colorful flowers. Higher up, you reach the montane grasslands and even areas similar to a desert because they have no or almost no vegetation. Species richness in southern Europe. Italy has around 6,711 species of vascular plants, preceded only by the Iberian Peninsula and Balearic Islands with around 7,500 vascular plant taxa, followed by Italy with 6,711 species. In Greece, the number of species is around 5,700 and in France, there are 4,630 species per unit area. Greece is the country with the highest concentration of native plant species. Endemic species. Italy has 1371 endemic species and subspecies. Threats. Habitat loss, fragmentation and degradation are the most significant threats to plant species that occur in Italy. Also changing water flow patterns and over-extraction, increasing droughts due to climate change. Pollution and the introduction of alien species threaten the flora. Other threats come from farming, urbanization and tourism. The cultivation of plants that give textile fibers, the cultivation of sugar beet, cereals, potatoes, orchards, vineyards and olive groves have almost replaced the natural vegetation. The action of man since Roman times has resulted in the destruction of most of the lowland forests and hills, in the expansion of pastures, in the extinction of many species and in the introduction of exotic species which are then naturalized. For example, the Indian fig opuntia is now so common in the warmer parts of the southern Italy. Also, the invasive false acacia is widely spread. Conservation. Italy is a signatory to the Berne Convention on the Conservation of European Wildlife and Natural Habitats and the Habitats Directive, both affording protection to the fauna and flora of Italy. Plants and shrubs of the Italian Macchia mediterranea, Quercus suber, Ceratonia, Siliqua, Erica arborea, Pistacia lentiscus, Laurus nobilis, Arbutus inedo, Myrtus communis, Rosmarinus officinalis, Caparis spinosa, Juniperus oxycidris, Rhamnus aliternus, Citticis scoparius, Smilax aspera, Nerium oleander. Notable floras. Arcangeli, Giovanni. Compendio della Flora Italiana. Torino. Loscia, 1882. Cesati, Vincenzo da Giovanni Passerini and Giuseppe Gibelli. Compendio della Flora Italiana. Volume 1-35. Milano. Vallardi, 1868–1886. Fiori, Adriano. Nuova Flora Analitica d'Italia. Volume 1-2. Firenze. Ricci, 1923–1929. Parlata, Filippo and Teodoro Carul. Flora Italiana. Volume 1-10. Firenze, Lamania, 1848–1896. Pignatti, Sandro. Flora d'Italia. Volume 1-3. Bologna, ed Agricole, 1982. ISBN 88-506-2449-2. Herbaria. See List of herbaria in Europe. Database. The Department of Biology of the University of Trieste houses the National Data Bank for the Italian flora and vegetation.